Because we talk a lot about the Social Dilemma documentary, for example, where they talk about all the negativity with social media. And there is lots, like, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that are just like, ugh. And we wish we could just rewind to a simpler time. But think about artists today now. If you have talent and you have the ability to get your message out there, you don't have to convince anybody else that it's good. You just have to put it into the world and let the world decide whether or not there's a market for it. And that's freaking incredible, man. And naturally, there's still the business side if you want to really elevate that to the next level. But you can get your foot in the door at least now without having to be in that world, right? And maybe sell your soul to the devil kind of thing in order to get ahead, which I'm sure many people do. I'm sure many people make regretful decisions. Speaking of that, any regrets over the journey that you went on in that, or were you good and grounded at the end of all of that?
In music? In the
yeah,
music
just
part?
when you said like it was time to be done and that was that.
Well, I have to say, like, it was heartbreaking for me. And after I had decided, although I knew I was making the best decision for me and my health and where I wanted to see my life go from here, it was heartbreaking. You know, like, I was kind of down on myself for a little while. You feel like, oh, you achieved so much, but you didn't achieve what you really wanted to achieve. And perhaps it wasn't part of my destiny to go to the abyss and never return. But at the time, you know, to be frank, I kind of felt like a failure. Even though, like, if you look at my back, I have all these credits here and I've worked on all these albums for whatever reason, I still feel like I had failed my initial trajectory, my initial goal. And that's kind of also an indication of how self-deprecating we can be. You know, we only take audit of our goals maybe once we've had some clarity, but in the moment, we're so hard on ourselves. Like, as creators, as entrepreneurs, as A-type people who want to make an impact, just because it wasn't 2 million people, instead it was 100,000, somehow that doesn't validate what the impact is. Like, it's such a twisted way of thinking or measuring your impact, where it's even if it was just one person. And we had countless people contact us, message us, say, that song that you guys did, it really helped me through a tough situation. And as I think about all of those moments that we had with those different people, that's what it was about. It wasn't about getting platinum plaques or any of that, because that's where the addiction comes in, is like when you start to measure yourself by those KPIs, the addiction really starts to, like, okay, I didn't get platinum this, okay, we're going to work harder to get platinum next time. But no, it's like this one-to-one impact, just one person. Like, if all that work, you release a song and only one person is impacted by it, then that should be the KPI for success. And I just didn't see it at that time until much, much later in my life. And if I had any regrets, I wish I kind of treasured the milestones and appreciated them more, instead of, it's kind of like that A-type where you're like, cool, got it, move on to the next. And, you know,
what's next?
Yeah, what's next? Because, you know, it was so crazy because I had even forgotten that we won a Juno Award. That's what's so crazy about it. The album we made did for Black for Swollen Members won a Juno Award, and we had forgotten. Like, years and years later, my brother and I, like, hey, didn't we win a Juno Award for that? Like, that's how we were, like, that's how focused we were on, like, these bigger goals. Like, hey, Juno Award's cool, but what about the Grammys, right? And then so my regret would be that we didn't, like, treasure and appreciate the things that we were doing. And maybe had we done that a little bit more, we would have been more fulfilled and had the energy to carry through the next battle and the next phase and the next stage.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that out loud, because it is about the journey. And part of the reason why I decided to do this podcast was to create a bit of a blueprint for my kids. At some point, they're going to look back on this. You know, they're still too young to really take in any of it now, but I want them to hear stuff like that, because I want them to have big, crazy ass dreams and go and jump off the cliff and figure out how to do it, knowing that I'm not going to be able to pave every path for them. They're going to want to do something that I have zero experience in, I hope, because I want them to dream big and to just enjoy every moment of it and celebrate those wins. Like you said, I think it's critically important, because a lot of times we don't reflect on it until years later in some cases. And by then it's too late, but at least we can still acknowledge the feeling of what that was like, and then now embody that now in this moment, right? Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed that clip and you want to watch the full unedited episode, go ahead and click over here. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. Thanks so much.